Okay, so we've got this really basic model. I was giving you some examples of things last week, but I'm going to essentially start again and do things a bit more seriously. So I'm going to delete this solid that I made and this family really, and those others as well. So if you're watching the video, I'm just using the delete key to do that on the keyboard. And then just looking at the views I have here, you can see I've got a 3D view in my 3D views category. And I want to start setting up some working 3D views that I'll be able to keep with the settings I want. So I'm going to duplicate that view by right clicking and going to duplicate with detailing. And then you can see I've got a new view called copy of 3D, which I'll right click and rename and just call isometric 1. And so then using the presets, I can change the angle to one of these preset angles. It doesn't really matter which one it is to begin with. And then you can see the walls here at the front of that view are going to probably get in the way of a lot of things I want to see. So I'm going to right click and then go to hide in view and elements with those two walls selected, and just get them out of the way in that view. So I can just repeat that process. So again, go to duplicate view, duplicate with detailing, rename, and I'll call this, guess it, isometric 2, change the angle, and then I want different walls hidden. So I'm going to use the light bulb at the bottom, which reveals the hidden walls, and I can select one of the hidden walls, and you'll get the option up the top to unhide element, or you can right click to do the same thing. So this is the main system of hiding and unhiding things in Revit. So that greyed out wall's now going to be visible. This one's still hidden, and the one to the left there, I'll select that and again just right click and go to hide in view elements. And then clicking on the light bulb again down the bottom takes me back to the normal display mode. So you can just repeat that process to set up any extra views you want. And then going back to the plan view, you can see I've got the ground floor set up without my image, and the ground floor set up showing me the image link from my drawing file. And so that's essential. If you're not having much luck getting the image to come in from your drawing file, remember you can always insert images directly into Revit, and you know, at least get something that you can work from that way. It's just a bit more difficult to control the size and be accurate if you do it that way. But it'll definitely work if that's your only option. So otherwise, I'll just go into modelling, and so again, just wanted to look at the extrusion tool a little bit more before we go into all the others. So again, the main way of getting to that is when you go to the sub menu under component and then model in place. And so I'm going to just keep using generic models for my category. Okay, and then I'm going to start giving more meaningful names to my family here. So I'll call this one columns. I'll start with. And then I'm simply going to make, zooming in there, an extrusion. And I'm going to use the rectangle tool to draw as closely or as accurately as I can over the intersection there where I want my column to go. But now I can always customise these dimensions. So you might realise that Exactly. So when you see a blue number like this, it usually means that you can change it. So I've clicked on that number to change it to what I want, 300. And this one down here, I'll try that as well. If that doesn't work for you though, you can always just press escape to cancel the command. And so just keep pressing it, really twice is the most you should need to. and that will cancel everything so that you can select any of those objects, and that will always give you the option of changing those measurements. Right, so now I want to move the lines, and I can do a window to select them, but again, if something gets in the way, you can always just go further out to make sure you're not fitting anything else. And then also think about using control. So if you hold the control key down, you can always select extra objects that way. So I've got the 4 lines selected, and I'm going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard to just nudge that over. You can drag as well, just using the mouse. So lots of different ways of adjusting things. So I've got this rectangle, which is the size I want for all of my columns. And so I'm going to copy that now. I've got, again, the 4 lines still selected, and you can always tell in properties what's selected. And then in the modify panel there, you can see the copy tool. Make sure you don't use, there's one in clipboard as well, which is also copy, but it's got to be copy and modify. So that's copy to clipboard, so it's for copy and paste. And so this is your main copy tool. Yeah, it's worth remembering that, because I know in other programs you copy and paste all the time, but in Revit this is the main way you copy. So again, with that copy button, it'll ask you for a base point, and you can see down here it'll prompt you each time for what you need to do at each step in a command. So I'm going to click on a point to pick up my object. That's your base point. So you're picking it up like a handle. It doesn't have to be on the object, but I've chosen a point on the corner there. And now choose a point to place it, and that's finished the copy. But I want to copy a few of them, so I'm going to click copy again, but then you can see there's a multiple option, so I'm going to tick that, and now I can again pick up my object. So this time, just to show you something different, I'll pick it up at a point that's not on those lines. It can be anywhere, the base point. And now I can go and place some extra columns without starting the command again. So it's just going to keep copying multiple copies until I let it know I'm finished. So I press escape to do that. Oops. Okay, so that's just starting to freeze up a bit. Video. There we are. So you can see I've got a few there, and I'll keep adding them at all the different intersections where they might make sense. But for now, just to finish that, I'll put in a height over, you can see in properties, for the extrusion end. And so I'm going to guess and say probably about 4,000 is what I want for the height there. Now I'll show you in a second how I can tie this to the level. But for now, I'm just going to finish that. And then looking in one of my 3D views, so you can see the columns there, and then in the section views, or yeah, I'll just go to one of the section views. Hopefully I can see the columns there as well. And so if I select just one of them there, you can see the arrow for up and down. And I'm going to drag that arrow at the top onto my level, that mezzanine level I made. Okay, and so then you should get a padlock symbol, which you can lock, and so then the height is set by the level.
So all of the columns fit the height?
Yeah, they would exactly, because I've made all of them as one extrusion.
Okay.
So they're all one object. If you want them to have different heights, just make extra extrusions. Exactly, don't copy them within the extrusion. So that's that family done for now. I'm going to go to finish model, and then I'll just test that level. So if I adjust this level height now, then the columns should change with it, and they do. And so I might do some columns now that have a different height, just to make it a bit clearer what's happening with the family there. So I've selected one of them, and in 3D, you'll see that's selecting all of them, because it's all one family. Edit in place, and then again, if I select one of them, that'll select all of them because they're all one extrusion. But now I'll go into ground floor, and one with the image, and add in another extrusion. And again, I'll just make a rectangle. Oh, there we go. Spot on. And well, I want this lined up with the one to the right, even though I want it to have a different height. So I'm going to use the align tool. Okay, so with align, you can choose any edge. I'm going to choose the edge here, and then, well, it's already in line, but that would make sure. And you can see I could lock this as well. But just so you can see a bit more clearly what's happening, I'm going to move that away. So just pretend I've drawn that off to the side, and I want it to be again, lined up exactly. So with align now, I'll choose, well, it doesn't matter which edge, but I'll start with the bottom. So that's my alignment edge. And now I'll choose this line, and it'll line it up exactly. Again, the one above I'll choose, and now I'll choose the one to the left, and then it'll line it up. And so I can check the one above. So yeah, it's really handy. Once you've got a few elements, then you can just really quickly line everything up. So again, here, this one, it looked like it was pretty close, but you can see there that it's actually to one side. I can just quickly get it all precise. So again, I'll make this one have a different height. So again, let's just make it pretty arbitrary for now. So I've just got that one column that's a separate extrusion going to the 3D view, and then again, it's got its own height, which I could go and always type in properties. So that's fine if you're happy to set the height that way. But if you've got a lot of things and you need to change their height as a group, then again, it could be easier to tie it to a level. So again, looking at this one in plan, I can see that I should be able to see it in this section view here, because it's below that section line. So a good trick there is to double click on the arrowhead for a section, which will open the view. I'll use the arrow again there to stretch that onto the level and lock it. Oops, do the right thing. And so now, if I finish that model, again, when I adjust the level, I'm just bringing this crop region up higher so that I can bring the level up a bit more. And again, the column's going with it. So again, I'll just flip to that one that I've made earlier, and oops, sorry, it's still open, isn't it? Should be still open. Yes. Okay. So looking at this one I made earlier, again, you can see all of those columns made in that way, and then looking at the beams there. Basically, they're done exactly the same way, but I've just making sure I've gone back to the right file. Yep, I've drawn those obviously over this image, but they're at the height of the next level. Not really. You can always get back in though and edit every single element, but no, you can't really explode the same way as AutoCAD. It's a different kind of program. Yeah, well, you do it differently. So if you want just one part of it, you might copy it and then open it up and then delete everything except that one part, which you can do. So okay, so I'll just again switch back to the file that I was just showing you. There we are. So this is just back to the file with only those columns. So again, just to show you how to project from different levels, it's basically the same. So here I want to draw beams over the image here, but on the level above ground floor. So just like I did before, I'm going to go to Model in Place, and then again, Generic Models. And so I'll call this one Beams. Okay, and so if I go to make an extrusion now, it's going to make it on the ground floor, just like the columns. So what I'm going to do first is open up the view for the level I want those extrusions to start on. Okay, so I want them to start on this mezzanine level. Right, so that's where I'm starting the extrusion. It's just to let Revit know what the height I want to start. Right, so I click on the extrusion button. That lets it know I'm working on mezzanine. But now it's no problem to go back to a different plan and do your drawing there. That's fine. I can even go to a 3D view. It knows I started on mezzanine, and so until I finish this extrusion, it's going to keep me on mezzanine level, even if I go and draw in again in a different view, which is a really good thing. It's a really useful option. So so now I can draw lines for my beam shapes. I'll just begin to draw some very simple things. It doesn't matter if I go over the columns, so that's fine actually. In real life, it wouldn't be far off that actually, the way that they really build it. But kind of. So anyhow, I'm just going to do some rough lines to give you an idea how you can start doing things like this, because they are just two-dimensional shapes, just like columns. But with the inside part here, yeah, so I've just drawn lines, and then so hopefully the line tool there, you get a lot of practice with that. But then if you haven't used the trim tool here very much, I'm just using that to join those two lines at the corner there to make sure it's closed. Yeah, so it works just like filler with zero radius and all that. And so it is the main trim tool though. You don't have a trim like AutoCAD. So to trim this segment in between these two lines, I've got to split it first. So it's a bit different to AutoCAD where trim will make it for you. So I've got a split there just anywhere between the two lines. So that's broken now, and then I can just, yeah, that's it. And it just breaks the line into two pieces, so now I can go to trim those to get a corner. So if anything, it's a bit simpler than the way Revit does it. I mean, it's the way AutoCAD does it, but you know, probably a few more clicks. You don't have as much drawing to do in Revit though, so it's not.
Would it matter if you did do that?
Yeah, it wouldn't have finished it, so it has to be a closed shape. And so now I've got, so the outline you can see is closed there. And so I'll just highlight that. Or maybe I'll do that in a different view. Okay, so that's a good way of checking as well, just going to a different view where the lines are easier to see. And so you can see there the outline is the closed shape around the outside, but also I've got a loop on the inside, which also has to be a closed shape. And so that'll automatically cut out the inside. And so when you're making extrusions, that's a natural thing. You'll make those voids or loops in the middle or on the inside to cut the holes out. And so I finished that extrusion and it's disappeared. But you can probably tell it's still there because I've got something coming up with some measurements there. And over here it's telling me I've got something that has a height, it's 5 metres high. I don't want it to be that high, I only want it to be like 300 or something. But I can't see it. And it's all because of the view I'm in. So remember, I switched to the ground floor to do my sketching. So hopefully you can think about that sketching as a 2D way of drawing. Now I've gone back into 3D really. It's above my drawing plane. If I go to the mezzanine level, then I can see it there. Or in any of those 3D views. And so by using the levels, it's easy to get those things lined up vertically. And so just think about how much you can make by extruding from the ground plane at different elevations. And you'd be surprised really if you look around how many things in most common buildings are made that way. So later on we'll look at making things from different planes. You can easily extrude from any plane at any angle as well, even if it's not flat. So these flat surfaces, you probably have an idea that you can project things sideways from those, but you can do it from any angle. plane. But I'll do that in the next video. So I'll just finish that video, unless there's any questions about extruding or, yeah, hopefully that's good.